Welcome to the Spring 2021 Virtual Commencement Ceremony. Please join us in the singing of our national anthem. Now presenting Dean Cammie Abernathy.
Good afternoon. I am Cammie Abernathy, Dean of the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering. It gives me great pleasure to welcome members of our UF community, friends, family members, and most of all, graduating students of the University of Florida class of 2021. We are excited to celebrate with you during this virtual commencement ceremony. It is my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker today, Dr. Gary Miller. Gary Miller is co-founder and Executive Vice President for Research and Development of ExactTech, Inc., Gainesville, Florida. ExactTech was incorporated in 1985 and develops, manufactures, and distributes orthopedic implants and biologic materials for orthopedic applications throughout the world. A native Floridian from Jacksonville, Gary has been married to Susie Liss Miller, also a Gator grad, for 51 years. They have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. Dr. Miller received his Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering in 1970 from the University of Florida, a Master's in Mechanical Engineering from MIT in 1972, and a PhD in Mechanical Engineering, Biomechanics, and Biomaterials emphasis in 1977 from the University of Florida. Proudly a double Gator. Post-graduation, he joined the faculty of the UF Department of Orthopedics in 1977, serving as a postdoctoral fellow, assistant and associate professor, and then as Director of Orthopedic Research and Biomechanics, until leaving UF in 1997 to concentrate fully on his duties at ExactTech. Over the years, he has served as an adjunct associate professor in various departments of the University of Florida Wertheim College of Engineering and the College of Vet Medicine Orthopedics, and now holds a courtesy professorship in the Department of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. He is the past chairman of the Herbert Wertheim College of Engineering Dean's Advisory Board and remains active on the board. Gary also enjoys providing guest lectures, mentoring, and participating on the industrial advisory boards of the Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering and Biomedical Engineering departments. He is a member of many professional organizations, including being a founding member of the Society for Biomaterials, membership in the Orthopedic Research Society, the American Society for Testing and Materials, and the American Society for Mechanical Engineers. He has served as a consultant to various orthopedic companies and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. He holds more than 20 patents in the U.S. and abroad. Publications include book chapters and more than 65 articles and 100 abstracts in the areas of biomechanics and biomaterials. He has presented this work and lectured on orthopedic biomechanics, implant and instrument design, and biomaterials throughout the world. Gary is also one of our most recent recipients of the University of Florida's Distinguished Alumnus Award. With both his storied career and his work as a volunteer for the college, he fully embodies what it means to be a distinguished alumnus of the university, and we are incredibly proud to call him a Gator engineer. With that, I will hand it over to Dr. Miller.
Thank you, President Fox and Dean Abernathy, for this honor and the privilege of addressing this amazing group of Gator engineers. The class of 2021, you're graduating in person, on campus in the ExactTech arena. This class's perseverance is off the charts. I've had two really memorable graduations from this university. My bachelor's in '70 and doctorate in '77. And now, 44 years later, receiving this award with the opportunity to address your graduating class, it's truly fantastic. Reflecting on almost 6 decades since arriving in Gainesville in '65 and how my career has evolved makes me smile. I showed up wanting to learn about machines, and mechanical engineering was the right course. Machine design was my real calling. That was the last thing that seemed scripted on the sometimes meandering and serendipitous path that brings me here today. I'm sure that some of you may have a tinge of uncertainty about what you'll pursue with your degree, and if you're ready to pursue your career, but that's okay. In all aspects of our lives these days, personal, social, business, and beyond, we're now referring to a new normal. Sometimes it seems as if we all think these changes will happen to us. I'd like for you to think of it differently, that you will help create that new normal. After all, you're engineers, and that's what engineers do. These last 44 years as a biomedical engineer allowed me to have a small part creating a new normal for people needing orthopedic implants. It's important, though, to remember to stay in the present. Even though 2020 and these months that follow may be difficult, please realize that it's not only about inventing new things, but let's face it, reinventing yourselves to meet new challenges and create that wonderful new normal you want to live in. I'm confident that this class has the foundation and will continue to acquire the knowledge, experience, and wisdom to bring about positive changes in our world. It's a heavy lift, but there's no doubt that you're up to the task. It's worth saying again. When engineers face changes or have questions, they see opportunities and find solutions. The teamwork you've learned to solve real-life problems will be in your knowledge toolbox forever, making you all the more valuable to employers and academic institutions around the globe. I've been asked from time to time by students, what did you study? What courses? How'd you become an entrepreneur? Because I want to do that. My replies have varied, but there are important nuggets that help me immensely on my personal journey, which I hope resonate with you. They fall into a few, often inseparable groups: innovation, collaboration, communication, leadership, and a continuous pursuit of learning new things. I was drawn to mechanical engineering by a lifelong curiosity of learning how things work. It was a natural thing for me, so the thought of actually studying to be creative or innovative seemed a bit strange. But I quickly saw that to really understand and solve problems, you needed math and physics, the sciences, and the humanities. Let's call them foundational tools in your toolbox. And importantly, you need an environment with the people and the time and the resources to nourish your creativity and your inventor spirit. I've also never been able to wake up and say, I'm going to invent something today. Not sure that Ada Lovelace, Edison, Granville Woods, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, any of them did either. You may not recognize all the names, but they were brilliant at seeing the world's unmet needs. Engineers are presented with and observe situations that need good solutions. Solutions that are sometimes innovative and maybe truly inventive. Often it's just serendipity. Trust that your education has given you what it takes to meet the engineering challenges and needs of humankind. To do this, you must communicate effectively. Experience taught me the incredible value of communication. That effective communication is two-way, talking and listening. It's about sharing. Having to explain your work often makes both listener and presenter understand things better. Have you ever noticed that when you don't have a common language or a knowledge base, the conversation slows? thoughts are distilled, and finding other ways to share information leads to a richer understanding. Writing is also key. Writing clearly, and even sometimes even drawing on the back of a napkin or on the tablecloth, has led me down the path of discovery many times when I couldn't speak the other person's language. It's times like this that a picture is indeed worth 1,000 words. So be open and honest and build the trust that is key to effective communication and enhances collaboration. Stop and think how many ingenious people were part of a team. Einstein wasn't great at math and collaborated with Marcel Grossman and Michel Besso, Bernstein and Frankel in biomechanics, Jobs and Wozniak, Gates and Allen, Ben Cohn and Jerry Greenfield, great ice cream. Cross-functional collaboration has been key for me and really changed my perspective early on. I've continuously benefited from working with an amazingly diverse group of people, not just in mechanical engineering, but material science, human and vet medicine, dentistry, computer science, anthropology, so many more. And working as a research fellow with the medical school faculty in orthopedics, continuing as a research faculty member there for 18 years. When I began this journey of collaboration, I never imagined it would eventually lead to the co-founding of Exactech 36 years ago, and it continues to this day. For me, the collaborative sum has surely always been greater than the parts. Steve Jobs famously said it so well. Great things are never done by one person, but by a team of people. It's also important to keep learning. Let's be candid. There's too much to know, too many unknowns to ever have your toolbox full. Technology's moving too fast. It's been said one thing we know for sure is that change is certain. And remember, progress isn't certain. Progress depends on the choices we make today for tomorrow, and on whether we meet our challenges and protect our values. Don't be surprised if solutions take you beyond the traditional roles of engineering. You may find yourself as a technology officer or CEO, having a global presence for your work, drawing on varied ideas while creating solutions that benefit people everywhere. In entering business, it became clear that success requires other skills too, beyond the passion for the solution itself. Business skills, regulatory or legal skills, other skills not in your toolbox yet. But to be sure, you don't necessarily need to know everything yourself. It ties back to learning to assemble a team, collaborate and communicate. Your class is leaving here with a solid education to jumpstart the realization of your dreams. Feel good that your diversity will serve to move the world forward in a positive way with your unique talents, your goals and dreams. Let me close on a different note. The positive feelings you get giving back to those people and institutions that have helped you along your path to success lasts a lifetime. Personally, giving back to our university by teaching, mentoring, board participation, endowing a lab to provide opportunities that nurture education and cutting-edge research and development, all continue to bring me great satisfaction. I urge you to stay in touch with the College of Engineering, UF, your classmates, and the Gator Nation. Do good for humankind. There are some daunting tasks ahead, be they in healthcare or the environment, you name it. Rest assured that by seeking to do good, by improving people's lives in whatever discipline you choose, the world will be better. Get out there and mix it up with confidence and commitment. Collaborate, communicate, innovate, learn, and lead, and stay humble. That's what graduating Gator engineers are primed to do. Thanks so very, very much, and go Gators.
It is our strong belief that this ceremony belongs to our students. In recognition of this belief, we invited 2 representatives of our graduating class to provide a brief perspective of their college experience. I am glad to introduce Kathleen Plinsky, followed by Blake Studer.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Plinsky, and to my fellow graduates, please allow me to be among the first to congratulate you on this important step in our journeys. We made it. I am what you would call a non-traditional student. This is my third master's degree, and in many ways, it's the most meaningful. Way back in 1997, when some of my fellow graduates may not have even been born yet, I was a bright-eyed freshman at Indiana University, excited to major in physics. I didn't enter college with a lack of confidence in my academic abilities, but the absence of women in physics led me to doubt myself. You see, there weren't any female physics professors, and there were usually only one or two other females in my physics classes. After a while, I began to wonder if there was a good reason that I didn't see any other women in physics. In fact, I remember questioning if there was something biologically different about my brain that made it harder for me to do vector calculus and learn the tenets of electricity and magnetism than it was for my male peers. By the time I concluded my sophomore year, these doubts had begun to extinguish my passion for physics. Nevertheless, I participated in a particle physics internship where we were looking for experimental evidence that a particle consisting of 3 gluons that theoretical physicists had conceived of and lovingly called a glue ball would be created from high energy collisions of protons. My internship consisted of plotting data collected by a detector. And if there was a spike in the graph at just the right spot, it would suggest that a glue ball was created and ultimately decayed into light. I am so thankful for this internship because it helped me realize that physics was not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. If I had known what engineering was before going to college, I think I would have likely chosen engineering as a major. I wanted to make a difference with what I was learning. I wanted to apply what I was learning to help others. And I didn't personally find that fulfillment in looking for glue balls. But by the time that I learned that engineering was more closely aligned to the work that called me, I was already into my junior year at a university that didn't have an engineering school. So I did the next best thing. I added Spanish as a major. In 2001, I graduated with a bachelor's degree in physics and Spanish. In 2001, I also wondered, what in the world do you do with a bachelor's degree in physics and Spanish? Over the next 20 years, I discovered the answer to that question. I started a career working at community colleges, having recently been selected to serve as the president of Valencia College in Orlando. And I earned a master's in Spanish, a doctorate in education, and an MBA from the University of Florida. Fast forward to the summer of 2019. I noticed an ad on Facebook that said, "Do you have a bachelor's degree in a technical field and an MBA from UF?" I thought to myself, that's me. Who else could it be? It was total clickbait, right? I learned of this opportunity to earn a master's in industrial and systems engineering and felt somehow that things were coming full circle. Here was the chance that I honestly never thought I would have, to study engineering. I submitted the application for admissions, and believe it or not, all of the old self-doubt came back. Even after having earned 2 other master's degrees and a doctorate, I wondered if I had the brain power to earn a master's degree in engineering. When it came time for the admissions interview, the chair of the program was scheduled to call. I am embarrassed to admit that I was surprised to hear a woman's voice when I answered the phone. However, imagine my delight to discover that the program chair was a female professor. I felt comfortable expressing my self-doubt to her. When she asked me if I had any questions, I asked her if she thought that I could be successful in the program. I confessed that, for example, I did not remember how to do integration by parts since I had last taken calculus in 1999. And she replied, "That's okay. I don't remember how to do integration by parts. But if I needed to, I could look it up and reteach myself, and so could you." Her honesty and vulnerability in her reply were refreshing, and her confidence in my abilities was just what I needed to believe in myself. I decided to begin the journey. And what a journey it has been, from creating mathematical models to solve optimization problems, to minimizing costs of a supply chain, to learning about stochastic methods and complex statistical analyses. I felt welcomed and supported in a community of learners, which, by the way, includes many women colleagues. And while I am thankful to have learned some of the tools and vocabulary of industrial and systems engineering, I'm even more thankful to have learned, thanks to this amazing community of peers and incredibly supportive faculty and staff, that I do indeed have the brain power to engage in really complex mathematical modeling, formulation, and problem solving. And that is knowledge that will never go out of date. Today's ceremony is called commencement, as it marks the start of something new, rather than simply the end of a journey. As you embark on what comes next, I implore you to pursue your passion, follow your heart, and don't doubt yourself or your abilities. And never, ever give up on your dreams, even if they are deferred by a decade or two. And never stop learning.
So I'm guessing this wasn't exactly the senior year that we all had in mind. As I'm sure that you've all noticed, our world has experienced some radical changes over the past 14 months and left behind a landscape that not many of us can recognize. As the world adapts to these changes, we're going to encounter a multitude of problems that need solving. Thankfully, who better to solve these problems than the problem solvers themselves, the engineers. In fact, the world is fortunate to have the UF engineering class of 2021 graduate when we are, because we are just the people to rebuild the world. Not back into what it was before the pandemic, but into something better, faster, more efficient. But how do we do that? How do we accomplish this gargantuan task? Well, one of the men I admire most taught me everything I know about completing difficult tasks, and I would like to share his wisdom with you today. The man's name is Gene the Machine Hendon, and he got his nickname from seemingly being able to handle problem after problem after problem without end during his time in the Air Force. However, as my grandfather, I never knew him by Gene the Machine, but rather simply as Poppy. Now, Poppy was the master of getting things done, and he helped forge my knowledge in the toils of his chosen battleground, yard work. The yard is where I would gain my stripes, and it seemed like no matter how little time had passed, it always had something that needed fixing. The leaves kept falling, or the grass kept growing, or the mulch kept disappearing, anything and everything. Honestly, it's wild to think that I have been involved in some of the production of the most advanced aircraft in the world, and yet whenever I think of the words difficult task, the images that come into my head are raking, mulching, mowing, edging, pulling up weeds, etc. I mean, it just sounds like nonsense. Yet Poppy managed to create this weekly task into the lesson of a lifetime. So much so that I've been able to apply it anywhere and everywhere I go. Poppy's first lesson was a rather simple one, but I'd say that it's universally applicable. Back when I used to rake the leaves in the backyard, I would tie up the finished trash bag full of leaves, run it back over to the garage, and get a new bag. Now, Poppy would always bring out a chair and watch me while I worked, mentally taking notes on everything I was doing to complete my assigned task. And after watching me run back and forth between the backyard and the garage multiple times, he finally just ended up yelling, "Why don't you just take the damn roll of trash bags with you? It's simple ergonomics." Now, I had no idea what ergonomics meant since I was 10 and not an industrial engineer. Odd foreshadowing for the future. But the other thing he said was absolutely right. I've been wasting a bunch of time running back and forth for no reason. From that point on, whenever watching my work, he would give me tips for ways I could be faster, more effective, while still completing the same amount of work. Mow the yards in patterns rather than just randomly. When you have to go to the front, bring the trash with you, since it has to be at the end of the street anyway. The lesson was indeed simple. Everything can be done better. Even if you think that something is being done in the absolute best way possible, you can still find a way to make it better. When we start rebuilding some of the old systems in the world, we need to focus on this lesson, even if we cannot initially see it. Poppy's second lesson came about because of some dishonesty on my part. Obviously, a young kid, tween, teen is not going to enjoy spending his Saturday afternoon working in the yard. I would much rather be doing just about anything, honestly. As such, I used to find little ways to cut corners, like only mowing the parts of the yard that were easy to see on first glance, only spraying half the weeds, little things like that. Now, when Poppy eventually figured out I was doing this, he was very, very disappointed in me. He said, if you take on a job, you do it to the absolute best of your ability and nothing less. We're about to encounter many challenges so unique that if we take any kind of shortcuts, it could end in tragedy. We need to have the integrity to give the best of our ability because people are depending on us. We can't let them down. We gotta do it right. Now, the final lesson, as we wind things down to a conclusion, every time I completed my task for Poppy, he took me to get a treat of my choice, to celebrate my conquest over the monumental task that is taking care of a yard. He said that when you do good work, you deserve to celebrate. And those are some of my favorite memories. We aren't machines. As we take step after step to rebuild this world, don't forget to celebrate your victories with the people you love, because those will be the moments you never forget. Everything can be made better. If you do something, do it right. Celebrate each and every victory. With these in mind, nothing can stop us. Now let's go celebrate.
Thank you to all of our speakers. For those being commissioned, as well as our graduates who are veterans of the armed forces, we extend our congratulations and express our sincere appreciation for your willingness to serve in defense of our country and in the cause of peace. It is now time to recognize all of our graduates. I offer to each of you my heartiest congratulations and commend you to the fellowship of educated women and men. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the class of 2021. Congratulations and go Gators!
Please join us in the recognition of
Alexander Abley, Gustavo Aguilar Romero, Jenna Agello, Nicole A. Joy, Matthew Alborn, Sophia Aylmar, Jared Alfaro, Aaron Algave, Daniel Algaze, Kada Alalovic, Noah Alter, Alexander Alvarez, Lillian Alvarez, Chase Amirati, William Anderson, Connor Anderson, Emma Andrews, Dylan Andrews, Pierre Angevad, Robert Onholt, Friend Luca Antaljak, Austin Appel, Roval Dieplers, Wilbur Arcaya, Michael Arena, Amanda Lourdes Aribe, Jonathan Arnaud, Ian Arndt, Getharanath Erliswar, Aaron Ash, Samantha Ashby, Bryce Askey, Trevor Ayton, Michael Atkins, Dylan Atterbury, Gerard Ariel Avicilla, Diego Aviles, Evan Awad, Carl Marcelo Acevedo, Azarella Bay, Zena Baker, Bo Bakken, Jonathan Baylant, Jared Balicki, Michael Ballard, Nika Beniai, Gilberto Barrios, Quincy Barton, Andrew Bassor, Yasmina Bassi, Norland Batista, Noah Bauman, Matthew Baumeister, Jake Baumel, Zachary Beaufay, Vladimir Becerra Valera, Emily Begovic, Eric Bidgleri, Lucas Bell, Carlos Bayo, Parker Bennett, Benjamin Benson, Max Bergeron, Benjamin Berlin, Jennifer Bernal, Joshua Bernstein, Cyrilla Barokal, Daniel Bertak, Christina Betancourt Chahab, Samuel Bevensker, Joshua Bake, Ria Bosker, Fahad Bular, Wesley Biddle, Matthew Bjork, Lars Bjorndal, Matthew Blackton, Caitlin Blade, Rachel Blades, John Volka, Marcella Shalubi Bolenbach, Isabella Bond, Diana Bosch, James Baldinghouse, Akeem Bowen, Blaze Bowman, Wesley Boyd, Wesley Bracey, Olivia Brandel, Jenny Brick, Dylan Briscoe, Daniel Breeze, Andrew Brodsky, Joseph Brooks, Aaron Brown, John Bryan, Angel Boo, Kayla Buck, Peter Bukowski, Keanu Buttham, Samuel Bunner, Joshua Burgos, Renee Burke, Kyle Burke, Thaptham Busser-N-C, Caleb Bird, Benton Bird, Marshall Kane, Justin Calloway, Mason Calzone. Frank Camargo. Ryan Canaday. Mateo Canart Toro. Stephen Cantrell. John Capeller. Mari Carmen Carbon. James Carpenter. John Carr. Carlos Carrasquillo Torres. Wilmer Carrion. Lauren Cassidy. Alexander Castano. Jesse Castillo. Isabel Castro. Cameron Celeste. Ernestine Celestial. Ariel Centurion. Jacqueline Satola. Alexa Seta. Stephen Chapman. Bryce Chapman. Jason Chen. Camilo Chin. Kyle Cheng. Max Chern. Courtney Chesser. Daniel Childers. Michael Chist. Juan Ho Choi. Aaron Choi. Tess Christensen. Jacob Chittle. Philip Cian-Simino. Jacqueline Chicalisi. Santiago Clavijo Gomez. Sophia Codespot. Ariella Cohn. Michael Coletta. Christina Collings. Tristan Collins. Jacob Collins. Roberto Coltraro. Spencer Kamora. Felix Concepcion Gomez. Roshan Kondal. Tiffany Conklin. Remy Conley, Jonathan Conlin, Michael Connolly, Noah Cook, Christopher Cooper, Christopher Cooper, Christopher Copeland, Haley Corbin, Isaac Corcoran, Lauren Patricia Correa Trejos,
Ya llegamos a la graduación, mamá, papá, no sé cómo empezar a agradecerles por tanto, por siempre estar a mi lado, apoyándome incondicionalmente. Los quiero mucho y esto es para ustedes.
Gabriel Cornejo, Carlos Cornejo, William Kosker, Jan Cosme Mendez, Patrick Costello, Alexandra Coate, Diego Coviela, Courtney Cross, Alexander Crossman, Adrian Cruz, Crossman Cruz, Adriano Cuadros,
Huge thank you to my friends and family, especialmente a mi familia en la Argentina. Lo extraño y lo amo a todos. ¡Mua! Un beso.
Kirthana Kadapa, Lauren Cunningham, Joseph Curtin, Kyle Dagnan, Tristan D'Agostino, Joaquin Dagding, Eden Dalo, Preston Daniels, Natalie Danner, Caitlin Daramola, Brandon Doherty, Mark Davey, Adam Davis, Veronica de Bernardo, Harry Defeback, Mateo Delgadillo, Joshua DeMarco, Cassie Dennison, Joseph Durienzo, Vrishunk Desai, Francesca DeVito, John Deuce Flick, Francisco de Capua, Karina Diaz, James DeMarco, Peter DiNapoli, Sarah Dincher, Lara DeSwanko,
Thank you, Lord, for all the strength and blessings you have given me up until this point, and to my friends and family for all the support you've given me over the years. Thank you, and go Gators!
Zachary Doki, Daniel Dolmueños, Sierra Donalyn Rodriguez, Juan Dos Santos, Alexis Doherty, Caroline Doyle, John Drake, Charles Draper, Darren Droll, Constantine Drillias, Daniela Duarte, Paige Dudziak, Boyd Duffy, Chris Dumais, Willie Duncan, Julian Duich, Joseph Dvorak, Damani Eason, Rebecca Echegaray Ibar, Joshua Edelkind, Gizima Flanley, Sarah Egtasadi, Casey Earhart, Shane Eising, Nicholas Elder, Duncan Elliott, Marcus Elosegui, Mona L. Sansom, Armoni Emmanuel, Nina Irwin, David Espantoso, Narotam Esser, Madison Udy, Emma Ferguson, Leonardo Fernandez, Guillermo Fernandez, Sarah Figueroa Cardenas, Madison Fileman, Edward Finch, Jack Fining, Stephen Fitzmyer, Thomas Flamant, Owen Flanagan, Caton Fletcher, Bert Holtzlock, Kuhn Flores, Zane Forrester, Maxwell Foster, Kelly Fox, Jared Franco, Adam Fries, Marshall Fry, Tristan Gainey, Tatiana Galliano, Alexa Gallo, Christina Gamero Cruz, Heron Gao, Pablo Garces, David Garcia, Christian Garcia, Roberto Garcia, Ryan Garcia, Marissa Garcia, Diego Garcia Rivas, Nicole Garcia Rivera, Camille Gardner, Corey Garrison, Aaron Gaskin, Paul Gaskins, Natalie Hayhell,
I'm officially a Gator engineer. I wanted to say thank you to my family for supporting me these past 4 years, and I can't wait to come back in the fall as the double Gator for my PhD. Go Gators!
Claire Generato, Katie George, Armin Ganadian, Josefina Hiamichale, Hallie Gibson, Cannon Gilbert, Alyssa Gillen, Ryan Gleason, Skylar Gleaves, Kimberly Marie Gamir, Brandon Godefroy, Erica Goebel, Jacqueline Golobeck, Amanda Goldberg, Jane Goldman, Benjamin Goldstein, Harrison Goldstein, Mariana Gomez-Rave, Ryan Gonzalez, Kyle Gonzalez, Drew Gonzalez, Nicholas Gonzalez, Angelica Gonzalez, Natalia Gonzalez, Edward Goodman, Eric Gorshak, Riley Gorman, Benjamin Gorman, Maxwell Gravenstein, Peter Gredix, Dylan Green, Stephen Grief, Savannah Gross, Alec Grubbs, Andrei Grubishich, Alyssa Guaraniello, Mallory Guarisco, Gavin Guay, Shantanu Gulgul, Alvin Gua, Rohan Gupta, Gabriel Gutierrez, Savannah Guyot, David Haas, Alice Hafner, Yehia Hodge, Gavin Hall, Robert Halloran, Daniel Hamilton, Mitchell Hammock, Caroline Hamrick, Elizabeth Hanna, Kristen Hansen, Garrett Hardy, Aditya Herodis, Bailey Harrell, Taylor Harrell, Charles Harris, Ty Hartley, Alice Hartley, William Hartzell, Sean Hatchwell, Sean Hayden, Alexandria Hatfield, Amberlyn Hawk, Kareem Hales, Lawson Heffler, Nicholas Hyde, Andrew Helms, Jack Hemme,
Here's my video. I'm a grad, baby. Let's get it.
Luke Kirksegg,
10 seconds is not enough. Thank you to my grandparents, my parents, my brother, Peter Carmichael, Jairo Hernandez, all my friends I met along the way, and Jeremiah Blanchard, and to the rest of you I say, go Gators!
Enrique Hernandez, Alan Hernandez, Cody Hewitt, Logan Hickox, Jessica Hicks, Sydney Higgins, Hunter Hinton Lang, Caitlin Hiskuk, Jared Hicksenbaugh, Oliver Hodge, Michael Hoffman, Mason Hoke, Callie Holber, Jared Hawley, Jana Horton, Jonathan Huang, Gan Huang, Yomin Huang, Andrew Huizinga, Laura Hull, Andrew Hung, Orlando Hurtado, Adam Hussein, Xavier Hutchings, Ihani Banyas Gaitan, Isra Ilyas, Muhammad Imam, Marisha Innes, Matthew Ionescu, Robert Isley, Bridget Eisenberg, Zachary Jackson, Elton Jacob, Lucas Jacob, Kyle Jagielski, Hunter Jarrell, Erica Jensen, Kevin John, Andy John Baptiste, Jessica Johnson, Kendall Johnson, Rachel Johnson, Asher Johnson Hogan, Neil Johnston, Chloe Jones, Riley Jones, Zachary Jordan, Jeremy Joseph, Tracy Joseph, Lauren Judah, Justin Kaiser, Soham Kale, Alexander Kane, Soumya Kapoor, Sarika Carey, Casey Kaufman, Stephen K., Madison Kelberman, Grayson Keller, Christopher Kelton, Natasha Kempy, Randy Chiron, Taha Khan, Rohan Karwadkar, Lily Katibi, Riley Kicker, Lauren Kilburn, Dariush Kim, Quade Kirby, Harrison Klein, David Nafo, John Kosenko, Manai Kokabun, Jessica Kong, Lingwei Kong, Tae-Woo Koo, Alexander Krasny, Logan Krause, Alexander Creston, Tristan Kroger, Rafe Cruz, David Kuhn, Alan Kung, Rio Kanori, Avnish Kunda, Daniel Labes, Benji Labonte, Mark Lai, Michaela Lamb, Christine Lambert, Anthony Landrove, John Langhout, Ethan Lawn, Kelly LaPlante, Madeline Larson, Eric Lastres, Ollie Latif, Leonidas Loftus, Stephen Lawrence, Mark Lawrence, Dang Lee, Tyler Liu, Jennifer Levy, Jake Ledford, Michael Lee, Jared Lee, McKenna Jordan Lehman, Ariana Leon, Kristen Leong, Stephen Lester, Lauren Leverett, Michael Levin, Mark Levine, Daniel Levy, Cameron Lewis,
Hi, Papa Patsy, Cal Marie, Lisa, Benny, Auntie Teresa, Cindy, Uncle Jack, Auntie Sheila, Jackie, Ronnie, and Fudge. I love you all and I hope to see you soon.
Chang Xiao Liang, Michael Licata, Patrick Anthony Lim, Carleen, Nan Lean, Ryan Lindsay, Alex Liu, John Lips, Kedji Lita, Tiffany Leo, Xingyang Liu, Adam Lizak, Caroline Lockwood, Seth Lorzell, Matthew Longmire, Tiago Lopez, Alejandro Lopez, David Lopez, Baltasar Lopez Sardi, Gibson Lewis, William Love, Maria Lazada,
I'm Maria Lazada, and I'd like to extend this celebration out to my family and friends for their unwavering support and unconditional love.
Stephen Liu, Brian Liu,
I'd like to thank my family and friends for supporting me on this journey.
Joey Liu, Brian Lucanis, Pablo Luna Vasquez, Carter Lurk, Matthew Lutton, Madison Lysott, Connor Lysek,
I thank all my family watching here today. You've all had an impact on my time at UF. I wish you all could be here. We'll celebrate when I get home. So love you. Go Gators.
Lejoma, Michael McIsaac, Derek Mackey, Skylar McLeod, Azad Madhu, Alfonso Madrazo, Rafaela Maggioni Simoes Vieira, Christopher Magnus, Kimi Amabu, Tyler Malo, Dima Majur, Anael Mamane, Christopher Mann, Ashley Maple, Benjamin Markham, Alexandries Margerison, Alyssa Murata, Julian Murata, Timothy Martin, Nathan Martin, Alexander Martin, Timothy Martin, Catherine Martinez, Valentina Martinez Padron, Daniela Martinez Rendon, Carla Marvel Moreno, Mark Marsk, Nicholas Marzolini, Samuel Matez, Bobby N. Matheson, Kyle Matthew, Ryan Matson, Alexander Maiden, Michael McAllister, Cindy McCabe, Dylan McCormick, Lydia McCurdy, Destiny McDaniel, Matthew McDermott, Joshua McDonald, Dustin McDougall, Devin McElligott, Parker McHenry, Byron McIntyre, Brendan McKee, Garrett McKee, Eric McKinnon, Demani McKinnon, Megan McMorrow, Carl McNeil, Ryan McCrae, Brendan Mears, Melissa Mecca, Mauricio Medina,
Este es un video rápido para la familia en la casa que está viendo. Muchos besos. Gracias a todo el mundo, mi hermano, Mima, tía, todo el mundo. Los quiero mucho. Besos.
Juan Medina, Drew Medina, Dominic Medic, Juan Mejia, William Meldrum Bush, Carlos Mendoza, Marco Menendez, Hayden Menge, Christopher Menninger, Andrew Meyer, Anna Michelena, Daniela Michelena Rodriguez, Lucas Michaels, Dondre Miles, Nicholas Miller, Nicholas Miller, Aaron Mills, Sean Minchin, Lucas Miranda,
Thanks, Mom and Dad, and shout out to all the friends and family who helped along the way. Shout out to 1209. We did it.
Isabella Mialescu, Mustafa Mohammed, Logan Monday, Brittany Monteverde, Lauren Moore, Michael Moore, Joseph Morales, Sebastian Moreno Casha, Garrett Morgan, John Morin, Ziad Morsi, Derek Moss, Yasin Mustafa, Kintang Mui, Lena Munoz, Thomas Murphy, Daniela Myers, Adrian Myrie, Sayuri Naidu, Rachel Neary, Elizabeth Nizzle, Dalton Newberry, Nancy Newland, Kai Nam Nai, Brandon Nguyen, Peter Nguyen, Ning Nguyen, Kevin Nguyen, Tone Nguyen, Han Nguyen, Alan Nguyen, Christina Nguyen, Bao Nguyen, Valeria Niebels, John Nieves, Duncan Niven, Brian Knoll, Matthew Oei, Hannah Owenbrink, Ryan Oliver, Caitlin O'Malley, Christopher O'Neill, Natalie Ordonez, Alexandra Orlovic, Olivia Orr, Uriel Osterwitz, Andrew Willett, Alexandria Ozick, Yen Pacheco, Vanessa Patchett, Emily Palmer, Roberto Pantoja Bacaleo, Dara Parada, Sylvia Pardo, Mina Park, Zar Pereno, Brandon Partridge, Colin Pastor, Abhinay Passanuri, Ravina Patel, Shanil Patel, Sagar Patel, Parth Patel, Trishna Patel, Miraj Patel, Tej Patel, Elizabeth Patton, Mikia Paul, Jose Paz Mondino, Nicholas Pazanski, Kaylin Peart,
It is because of this village that I have been able to attain this success. I love you. I'm a UF grad.
Rachel Peebles, Sabina Penuela Ramirez, Jacob Pepas, Gabriel Pereira, Cyan Perez, Diego Perez, Michael John Peroni, Alexander Perotti, Matthew Peters, Jordan Pickering, Logan Piper, Andrew Plummer, Ellie Pond, Ricardo Posada, Yazwant Potluri, Kyle Palski, Caesar Poses, Asavar Prabhakaran, Sima Proma, Michelle Pravasti, George Pooh, Andres Polito Silva, Jason Pathasaril, Jose Manuel Quintus, Noah Rasek, Vincent Raphael, Daniel Ramos, Marshall Rawson, Samuel Reyna Reyes, Jordan Reinecke, Taylor Remington, Tyler Rennie, Lauren Isabel Rapallo, Andrew Restivo, Jason Richmond, Hannah Rickles, Noah Reek, Armando Rios Perez, Ricardo Rivera Cortez, Tomas Riveron Garcia, Natalia Riveros Martinez, Noah Roberson, Michael Roberts, Patrick Roberts, Christopher Robinson, Christopher Robinson Haydahl, Colin Robson, Ashley Rocha, Brian Roche, Moises Roddenbrief, Cameron Rogers, Stuart Rodriguez, Camille Rodriguez, Leslie Rodriguez,
I did it! I just want to say a huge thanks to my friends and family. I would not be where I am today if it weren't for you guys. Thank you.
Carson Rodriguez, Anthony Rodriguez, Julian Rodriguez, Delfina Rodriguez Briazzo, Nicholas Rogers, Gilmer Rojas, Eric Roque Sanchez, Nicholas Rose, Jordan Rosen, Ryan Rosengard, Stephen Rosenthal, Sebastian Rossello, Hadrian Roy, Federico Roy, Christy Roale, Jack Ruskell, Connor Rushtick, Jonathan Ryan, Zachariah Sadiwi, Braden Sabo, David Sadowski, Hadra Saeed, Sophia Sines, Adrian Soccer, Sarah Salamoni, Ramya Saldana, Bharat Samanini, Andrew Sanchez, Noslin Santana, Austin Sapp, Nicole Sarna, Christopher Schaefer, Jacob Schaefer, Julia Schindler, Griffin Schobel, Harrison Shore, Jason Schramm, Robert Schulte, Angelo Saibarassi, Matthew Ciota, Ryan Scalforo, Tyler Scott, Gianna Segnatelli, Brianna Seckel, Karen Sem, Randy Senti, Devin Serino, John Sarah, Sebastian Subert, Brandon Schaefer, Ahmad Sharif, Alex Shears, Edward Shelikoff, Alan Chen, Thomas Sherlock, Noah Sheaver, Zachary Shields, Gregory Shoemaker, Alexis Shuping, Mustafa Siddiqui, Lauren Sigmund, Jessica Seiling, Nicholas Cilio, Eric Simon, Benjamin Simon, Carl Riley Simpron,
My time at UF here has been real fun. I met a lot of great people and learned a lot of new things, but all good things must come to an end, and I'm excited for what the future holds.
Sierra Simpson, Daniel Singer, Akshay Singh, Jesse Shu, David Skelton, Haley Skinner, Carly Slay, Nathaniel Smith, Logan Dawson Smith, Marla Smith, Noah Smith, Sean Smith, Logan Smith, Keith Smith, Paula Solari, Jaslyn Solar, John Solorzano Rodriguez, Mei Song, Samuel Sorensen, Nicholas Souza, Andrew Sowinski, Donald Spillane, Dawson Stacy, Sean Stanley, Patriel Stapleton, Natalie Starr, Lauren Stoffer, Emma Steinbraun, Caleb Steinmetz, Jenna Stephanie, Thomas Stevens, James Stevens, Dirk Stein, Scott Stingle, Savannah Stockton, Branson Stout, Blake Studer, Curtis Stump, Irelis D. Suarez, Juan Soar, Austin Sullivan, Zachary Simislasky, Charles Swain, Stephen Swingle, Armin Tabristani, Felipe Tamayo, Michelle Tanzi, Walter Tarr, Ashley Taylor, Abby Telehun, Derek Teodoro, Joshua Thomas, Kevin Thomas, Elizabeth Ebony Thomas, Lenworth Thomas, Autumn Thompson, Madeline Thompson, Sarah Thorsness, John Thurber, Zabria Tillman, Troy Timmons, Alina Timshina, Samuel Toby, Reedy Tola, Vivek Talani, Alexander Tony, Luis Torre Rojas, Sergio Torres, Michael Toff, Brooke Towns, Locktran, Isabella Trejo, Chandler Truesdale, Micah Troyer, Ivan Turkovsky, Joshua Tsay, Andrew Tumlin, Zachary Tepper, Katie Turner, Ryan Ulmer, Stephen Vaca, Thomas Vaisberg, Elizabeth Valdez, Natalia Valenilla Angeris, Philip Valvoshnatala, Adam Van Belkom, John Van Den Broek, Mark Van Ree, Alexander Van Rens, Ezequiel Vasquez, Nicholas Vega Michalak, Royce Velasco, Kevin Vera, Giovanni Vera, Trevor Victoria, Alexander Vila, Valeria Vila, Paula Valila, Osiris Villacampa, Ankit Vishnabhatla, Zorana Vizik, Gana Voitseshko, Dean Vu, Mark Wagner, Saluk Luwa, Sarah Walker, William Wallace, Jack Wong, Christopher Ward, Rohit Warrior, Anya Warren, Joshua Wasserman, Stephanie Watkins, Sherlyn Wee, Jonathan Weiss, Allison Weinstock, Nathan Wendling, Noah Wenzel, Griffin West, Christopher Westmoreland, James Wheeler, Mason Wisnant, Victoria Williams, Michael Williams, Jenna Williamson, Weston Willingham, Andrew Willis, Charles Wilson, Trevor Wilson, Leanne Wisha, John Wolf, Thomas Wolf, Michael Woolenhop, Daniel Wong, John Woodman, Daniel Woodruff, Colton Woods, Kyle Worley, Julia Wright, Michelle Wu, Matthew Wires, Austin Siet, Alec Yegi, Sheeta Young, Zachary Yeager, Stephen Young, Jared Yu, Shumail Zaidi, Cameron Zamet, Karen Zhang, Siyue Zheng, Alan Zhou, Yonatan Zigden, Bailey Zinkgraf, Ryan Zinni, John Zork, Ivan Zofko, Maria Zofko, Gabriella Zuber, Zane Ziddens, Connor Bandel,
Congratulations, Gator Engineering Class of 2021. Please join us for the singing of our alma mater.